Hello and welcome back to the making of the farmhouse for my game Quest for the Eye. In today's video I am going to be making the door. So it's just going to be very quick and simple. I'm just going to go ahead and get my cube in here and bring it in just to the middle here. So it's between these two, here and here. Into wireframe mode and in edit mode and finally vertex. This is just so I can line it up. So I want a little bit of gap either side of this here. Most doors do have a little gap beside them. And I do the same for the top as well. So right up to the top, about here. And I can bring in the back here to make it a lot thinner. So now we have the start of the door here. I am going to do a couple of these dividing lines down here. So maybe about 4. Just so they're sort of equal. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select each one of those, and exactly the same as I did for the chapel, I'm going to add a little bit of a bevel. So I'm just going to bring them out just a little bit. So now I've got this nice sort of gap in between. I'm going to select the front, come to the side view, and then just bring them in just ever so slightly. Doesn't need to be by that much. I should do the same for the back here as well. So I'm just extrude, bring them in just ever so slightly. So it looks like these are individual planks on an actual door. So when we look at it, we can see it looks like a proper door. I'm going to go ahead and texture it. I'm just going to use the wooden wall texture for this at the moment. This is about the closest one that we have to what an actual door looks like. So I'm just going to select these back and front and in between as well. A quick unwrap of the UVs. As we can see, it's got a little bit ski width, but that's fine. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move. So I'm going to assume that they're the inner ones. So by pressing the L key, I'm going to just select those. It's a little bit easier for me. Bring those right the way out. And with those, I'm going to rotate those by 90 degrees. And then just line that up with the others just there. This way I know that they are the right shape. And I'm just going to bring that just in there. Just so we've got a nice sort of door. And as you can see, we've got a nice grooves in there as well. Now we're not going to see the top, but we are going to see sort of the sides. So they do need to be unwrapped as well. So I just do a very basic unwrap, and it's to put it where I want it really. So that's looking really good now. It's looking like a proper door. Okay, now we can add the decoration exactly the same as we did for the chapel. So back into modeling, and I've created that cube. This is going to be where the door handle is going to go. So of course shrink that down. Bring that in a little bit. And it definitely doesn't need to be that thick. So it can be quite thin. I'll bring that out a little bit. Bring that in again. And that's looking okay. So I'm going to do a new material. Just call it house metal text. And then that way I know what it is. Look, see if I've got the textures. And I'm going to use this texture here. Back into modeling, as you can see it's applied it already, which is great. Bring it back. Bring it to the edge. And that's looking alright so far. I'm going to duplicate this, and then I'm going to shrink down that duplication just so it's in the middle there. Just bring it in. It needs to come out just a little bit. So we've got this kind of almost like a stepped sort of thing here. Do a little bit of a cylinder. Align that to the view so it's facing us. Bring that forward. Pop that into place just here and here. Shrink that down a little bit. Shrunk down a little bit more. This is what the handle is going to go onto eventually. So just plug that back into here. And I can probably shrink it down a little bit more, but I think I'm just going to leave it there. So bring that in. That can come out to about there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep that face, but the other face I do need to get rid of. Or I could just leave it for the moment. I'm going to do a sphere, line it to the view, line that up. Now I could use this as the actual sort of handle, like a doorknob. Shrink it down a little bit. Let's bring that back. So I could leave that as like a doorknob like that, but it doesn't quite look right, so I'm going to edit it a little bit. So by bringing it down and back, just come into wireframe mode just so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to shrink it down a little bit more. It's about there. And squish it a little bit. Then those back vertices, just get rid of those. Pop that into place. It does need to be a little bit smaller, just so it fits in there like so. Select the faces. I'm just going to bring this middle part out a little bit, just so it gives it that little bit of a decoration on the actual door itself. I'm just going to bring it out just a little, just so it gives it that sort of look really. So it's looking quite cool. Then I can come up to my torus here. I'm going to line that to view, and it's definitely not going to need 48 segments, so I'm going to bring that right the way down, probably to about 14. I'm going to bring that down to probably about 4. And it definitely doesn't need to be big like that as well, so make it thinner. Bring it right the way down. Just making sure it looks right. Bring it down a little bit more, make it a little bit thinner. It's about there. And then that can come into place. Just going to bring that into place just here. So it needs to come to about there. And I'm going to shrink it down a bit more as well. So shrinking it down. That looks about right. Bring it back. So I want it to come out just a little bit, so bring that to there. I'm going to bring that to about here. And this cylinder, I'm going to bring out to meet that part here. This object, I am going to put the shade smooth on it, just so it gives it that kind of almost rounded sort of look again. Now I can select those and join those all up. And then apply my metal texture to it, and then just make sure it looks okay. So it looks fine. So a few more details. This isn't going to have as many bolts as the chapel door had. It's only going to have a couple for this. So that looks about right. So I'll get rid of the face on that. We'll bring that in ever so slightly. Bring that out. Then this whole bolt can come like this. Now a little bit more. And it may need to be a bit smaller, but we'll see how it is on there. Bring it right the way back. I'm going to embed it in quite a bit, so about there probably. Let's have a little look. Yep, that looks fine. And of course, add in the metal texture to it as well. And a very quick sort out of the UVs around here. Just unwrap those. Then I can go ahead and duplicate these. And then add it all together. So join those together like so. Join that. And finally this as well. So now that's one sort of mesh. Just go duplicate it. Rotate by 180. And make sure that it's in place. This is going to be very rustic, very, very simple. Because it's a farmhouse door, so it's not going to need a lot of fancy work to it like the chapel did. Because chapels are always going to be a bit better built, a bit more higher status. They're kind of built for a god rather than a person, so this is just going to be a very basic hinge. So add a couple of lines in, and one there. So that's coming to 4, which is fine. And I'm going to put one down the. Do I need one down the middle? No, I won't put one down the middle. What I will do is I will collapse those at the end there. And then just add a little bit of decoration. So just make sure it's tapered how I want it. Does need to be a little bit smaller in this way. I can bring that back. So it doesn't need to be huge. I desolidify. Get rid of the offset. And then I can apply that straight away once I've got out of edit mode. Then I can go ahead and bring that back onto the door itself. So embed it a little bit into the wood. Use my bolts here. So I'm just going to select that one, duplicate it, bring it up. Make sure it is selected. Press P for selection. And then I'm going to set the origin to the surface. And that way when I click on it, I know exactly where it is. So I will probably need to make that a little bit bigger. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Now I can just go ahead and duplicate these then. So I'm going to put one more or less on every sort of panel of wood, as it could be. It's kind of like this. And then this wider part, maybe two again. Just like so. I won't bother putting one in the end there. But I will duplicate another one. I will put that just there. Just so it's kind of consistent, really. So that's looking pretty good. So I'll make this a little bit thinner. And as it comes off the door, I'm just going to line it up with the door edge to about there. And of course apply my material, so my metal. A very quick unwrap of that. It's going to need to be unwrapped all the way around. Like so. Do the bottom as well. So unwrap top and bottom. Just so I know it's all unwrapped. It looks, just so it looks good. Join those up together. So origin surface. And then I can go ahead and duplicate that and bring that down to the bottom there. Now for the back. Again, I'm just going to do a very simple plane. And I could have done a cube, but sometimes working with planes is a little bit easier. Because then I can get the depth right. So I'm just going to put probably about that thick. Put one to go here. Now this is just a piece of wood really that goes across the back there. So solidify, get rid of that. And probably 0.1 should be fine, so I'm just going to go ahead and apply that. Bring it right the way back into the wood a little bit. Apply a texture, which I'm going to use the house wood texture for this, just so it gets a little bit of contrast. So just wireframe mode just for a second, just so I can see. Duplicate that for the bottom. And maybe one in the middle as well. But what I will do for this one, I will bring that back to about there. So now we have a good looking door. So there's the back of it, front of it. Now with this I will need to do something. I need to join it all up still, but so I'm going to join everything up. So just join everything up. Make sure I've got everything, which I haven't. Select everything, join. Now we've got a door. Now the same as what I did with the chapel, I need to bring this to the centre. And I need to bring the back edge of the door kind of there. And then I need to set the origin to 3D cursor. So now I know that cursor's at the bottom. So when I go to animate this in the engine, I can actually open and close the door. What I will do is call that, I will go ahead and rename the rest of them, but I was just renaming that particular one so I can duplicate that. So I'm going to do RZ and then 90, bring that up there, bring that in here. And move that into place. So that's making sure it's just in place. So I will make it a little bit longer, not by much, but just a little bit. There we go. So now we have that door in place. You're not going to be able to get into this room, so there's no point of doing anything else to that. So now I've got the door, so I'm just going to pop that to the side. Now the window panes are just going to be simple, very simple planes. Just pop those in place. With that background, that white background, I can see where this is not quite reached where I need it to. So I'm going to go ahead and edit these. Make sure it looks okay. It's pretty much if one's off, then they're all kind of going to be off. So I need to select the whole of that. Bring it back. Back to. I think that's a lot better. Yeah, so we're not seeing that. So we'll need to replace the others, but for now, what I'm going to do is just going to put this into place. Let's pop that there. Make it a little bit smaller. There we are. Make sure everything's correct there. So I shall call that, and I will texture that, but that will be done in the engine. So that's just going to stay there for now. So what I shall do now, I shall go ahead and replace these windows with this one that I've just done. And I will do the chimney next, and then the roof. So kind of get everything sort of sorted out inside here. And I may add the floor off camera as well, because that's just simply going to be a plain. But the chimney, I'll show you how I make the chimney and how I make the roof. And that's it for this video.